Hey guys, I just wanted to take a second to explain exactly what we do here at 11 and why we're so different in the space. Our methodology and approach to brand entertainment, influencer marketing, and product integrations, storyline integrations, so on and so forth, is our differentiator. Just a methodology and approach. What we do is we're actively trying to shift media spends from TV and digital into brand entertainment by showing that they're equals, right? So what we have, in order to do that, we took an old school audience measurement approach. As you know, all mass media is based on coverage, and the question is really how much of the total population am I reaching, right? So we're doing the same things that Nielsen and ComScore are doing as far as measuring household penetration. As you know, ComScore and Nielsen both have worked with sample sizes. There's a certain amount of people that's having their own panel that have the TVs and whatnot tagged and tracked so that Nielsen and ComScore knows their viewing habits. We're doing the exact same thing, but we're doing this with the YouTube space right now. So we have a panel of over 18 million people worldwide, has their phones, TVs, tablets, laptops, you name it, tagged and tracked. And those same 18 million people are answering survey questions every 3 months, right? So as these people naturally visit the publisher channels that we work with, a pixel fires, and we're able to attribute their audience data to the entire uh, audience size for that particular publisher. And this is vastly different from an approach from an influencer marketing platform or some AI technology where it's like derived metrics and proprietary things that don't really add up sometimes. This isn't making logic jumps like, oh, this is a cute puppy channel, so these people must be interested in pets. That's not the logic jumps we're trying to take. We're using all first party data and applying those old school measurement tactics to give people like traditional media buyers things that they are familiar with, right? So when I say things that they're familiar with, I'm talking about things like gross rating points, target rating points, things like that. Take a look at the UI that we have here. Let me just select a few publishers just so you can get a grasp on what's going down, right? So we're showing this in a few ways. Influencer marketers are, focused on like things like reach and engagement. However, there's an element of efficiency that we're adding onto this, which is all the other videos that we've recorded that are talking about targeting audiences. In this, those are all relevant. But what we're talking about right now are target viewership. So yeah, target viewership, and more importantly, equating said viewership to traditional TV, showing the equity in what we're doing in the digital media space with what people are doing in traditional. Um, One of the biggest challenges that we're trying to take head on is showing that these channels are, equitable to traditional media. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to throw in a random data point. Let me do minor purchases, and I'm going to just do health and beauty products, and I don't know, hair care conditioner. Actually, no, let me do beauty products, right? So we throw these two out. These new publishers, I'm gonna throw someone I know we have a lot of data on into the stack, right? So these are two different data points for these two different publishers, and what you're seeing right now is a different the way that we're trying to shape these decision making skills, right? So right up about here, you're seeing target viewership, seeing exactly how much of the target universe that you're reaching. So how many people that bought beauty products within the last 6 months um, that are on YouTube at all, right? It's about 36% of YouTube. This is how much of them that you're reaching. When we talk about target rating points and gross rating points, you're reaching about 0.16 of the entire population that of people who are in the YouTube space, your general population. So what we're really trying to figure out right now is or what we're trying to show right now is equity in this space, right? You'll also notice that there are things that traditional media, or new school influencer marketers are looking for, like just basics like reach. But this just GRP, this is what old school media buyers are looking for. So when you go to, you know, if you're in the agency and you're looking at and you're in the influencer marketing department, you're not really dealing with gross rating points, target rating points, things like that. The people who are bringing out those big budgets, those TV media budgets, that's what they're buying and selling on. So when we talk about, what's equitable and what's not, just, full disclosure, one rating point is like 1% of the total population, right? So when we talk about coverage and reaching mass viewership, the goal is to reach as much of the total population as possible through your messaging, and we're able to show that in the exact same apples to apples way that a Nielsen and ComScore will show for TV, but we're doing it for YouTube. It's really taking an old school media buying approach to buying, selling, and managing inventory, honestly. So that's the basics of how we bring back that old school methodology. There's other things on top of that, like, for example, there's a myth around this space that there's no scarcity when we in the digital media space. We're trying to debunk that. And the way that we're trying to position this and frame this for everyone involved is that think of YouTube as the third coming of cable and satellite TV. Each YouTube channel is a TV channel, and each one of those publishers has a programming schedule. Each programming, every day they post, it's basically treated as a spot or an integration of inventory. So if I'm a daily vlogger like your Casey Neistats or your Phil DeFrancos, and I post 7 days a week, no breaks, all year round, I only have 365 opportunities to integrate a brand into. So that in and of itself brings scarcity to this space. There's only but so many times, so many opportunities that you can integrate into publisher content, and what we're doing right now is selling all that on an upfront basis. Very similar to the way TV is bought and sold. Upfronts, if you're not familiar with the way that TV is bought and sold, about 80% of the inventory, that like commercials and things like that, are bought at upfronts. The other 20% are what's called considered scattered inventory, things that are sold and bought on a basically like on a la carte basis or on a quick sale type of thing. Whereas digital entertainment and brand entertainment and influencer marketing, everything is a scattered buy. This creates a huge headache for both the publishers and the advertisers because the publishers have to keep selling day in and day out. They have to keep selling ad sales teams, network managers, talent managers, MCNs. Everyone's running around the head, like chickens with their heads cut off because they're trying to find the next check, trying to find the next deal. Whereas TV is like, you know what, we're just going to sell all this at one time and be done with it, or the bulk of it at one time and be done with it. That's the type of efficiency we're trying to bring to this space, right? And when we talk about equity in the space, we're trying to compare apples to apples, right? So there's TV, and everyone's buying gross rating points. If there's, let's say, for example, the Super Bowl has a rating point of, I don't know, 10, 15, 20, whatever. We can bring that same efficiency and that same coverage via brand entertainment by simply stacking influencers. And what I mean by stacking is that these two input, like this influencer alone, her GRP is 1.13, right? 0.13 of the population that she's reaching. But if I add another influencer into it, you see that GRP goes up, stacks, stacks, stacks. That's what we're trying to do here. That's how that goes for GRP, TRP types of things. Second part of that conversation is frequency, right? So in order to go gross rating points, you have to have a frequency. In this particular UI, you're only seeing a frequency of 1. This is the assumption that's being made is that each one of these publishers is posting one video, and their audience is coming into contact with the brand one time. There's another portion of the show of the system, the scheduling tool for the brand. So we talked about equity in GRPs and stacking influencers to get a certain gross rating point that's equivalent to TV and what you would do like a Super Bowl buy even, right? On top of that, there's another planning strategy. There are planning strategies that need to be taken into account, just basics of media, right? So, for example, flighting, continuing, and pulsing patterns within um, a advertising calendar. If you want to, so let's say you're launching a campaign or you're launching a product and you want to get mass awareness at one big time, you will want to stack your influencers and schedule them out so that you're hitting this continuous stream of advertising. Think of it like roadblocking. If you wanted to, you could literally take over YouTube with a brand campaign for an entire week span with 30, 40 influencers, and every day, each one of them are posting a different video about your brand, and your brand is coming into contact with this audience several times over the course of a certain time period. On the flip side, you could take an old school approach and do like a pulsing type of pattern, whereas though you're just like hitting them high and hitting them low and hitting them high and hitting them low is what you're seeing down here, right? On top of that, there are things like buying multiple spots on one channel. So if I have an influencer, let's say I'm only working with one influencer, right? I can take that one influencer and buy 30, 40 different slots across that influencer's channel, and come into contact with that exact audience 30, 40 times. Or I can choose multiple influencers with an audience overlap score, and be able to determine exactly how much of their audience is a shared audience and how many times they come into contact with my brand. Things like literally old school things like Oslo's frequency model, like you're saying right here, flight patterns and planning that media plan exactly how you would for TV. All the things that we're trying to bring back to the space. Equity. Again, equity is the name of the game. At the end of the day, what we bring to the space is equity, right? Being able to show these things on a GRP, TRP basis, just that alone allows a traditional media buyer to say, okay, cool, I bought, prime time slots on ABC and it cost me X amount of dollars and it got me X amount of rating points. We can do the same thing for YouTube as well. You bought X amount of spots for this particular audience, across these different multiple YouTube channels. In aggregate, they make up this GRP. So when you bring it back to your brand client, it's a very clear apples to apples comparison for a media buy. Because a lot of the times when we work with influencer marketing and brand entertainment, because the mentality is this is some bastard stepchild or this is some wild wild west type of thing, and there's no regulation to the space, and there's whatever bullshit people want to throw out there as far as their concerns about the space. We're trying to solve all those, assuage all those people by showing them straight up in a context that they can grasp and make it not so foreign, but very familiar to what they're used to in the past. That is our approach to brand entertainment. That is our approach to influencer marketing. And that's our real differentiator as we move forward in making and shifting digital and TV budgets into brand entertainment and influencer marketing and the integrations of product placements and you name it. Whatever is everything but commercials is what we're doing right now. But that's our main differentiator. I really want to just challenge everyone out there to take a step back, look back. There's a Dicker symbol called the Sankofa bird, and it's basically a bird looking. I think it's like a crane. It's just looking back, and the overall theme is to look back and get it. Like look at what's been done before you, and apply that to your daily life, which is what we did here at 11. We just took everything from the old school TV and mass media methodologies and planning and buying strategies and apply that to the digital media and brand entertainment space so that everyone can see that these two are not different. These are not different. These are not some bastard stepchild. This is not something to be scoffed at. This is actual media. You're reaching sometimes, for example, Super Bowl. We can get you Super Bowl coverage on demand any day of the week just by reaching your constituents through multiple different YouTube channels, and it's no brainer. And because we sell these things on an upfront, obviously the benefit of buying things on an upfront basis is you're buying it in bulk, so it's a little cheaper. A lot of the time, some like MCNs are selling things that are like between like 13 and 30 cents a view, if you're lucky. Um, we're doing this at a flow price of 5 cents a view for probably to the end of Q1, and then as soon as we finish that in Q1, we're letting them choose their own CPM. So it's really going to be a free market because we're trying to sell this on the upfront. There's also the added benefit of selling out of inventory. So there is scarcity in the space, and you have to buy this up front because you try to come at the middle of the year, all these publishers are going to be booked out. This is inventory we're selling right now, you know. So I just want to take a second and just like jump on that soapbox and explain exactly why we're different in the space, how we're approaching the space, and how we view brand entertainment as a traditional media buy, not something that's foreign. Just wanted to go ahead and say that.